Hello everyone, this is part 10 of What If Naruto Was Betrayed and Planned It All, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
2 years before, Naruto was walking through one of the dark halls of Chronicle's northern base outside of Kiri. After things there had been settled, the underground, and temporary, base had been shut down and sealed up, though not destroyed in case it was needed in an emergency. Alright, this is where we'll begin, Naruto said to the several dozen clones behind him. He quickly constructed a Rasengan in his hand before driving it into the wall. It quickly dug into the wall before Naruto expanded it and forced it to explode. When the dust settled, there was a massive and deep hole in the wall. Get to it. We're going to need this done when the project finally bears results. Unlike my father, I will not be limited to a simple kunai marker. Break. Now, Naruto was standing in the middle of his personal library, focusing on gathering nature energy while his clones were running around the room. The clones were constantly disappearing and reappearing in Naruto's improvised version of the Haraishin. He had been able to use the seal formulas with the Shunshin to create a limited version. Because of the seals, it still created a flash, but its range was much shorter than either of the original jutsu. However, it made up for that with its increased speed and accuracy. Naruto released his hold on the nature energy and opened his eyes. One of the clones had overshot and flew through the air. It landed on a spot with a seal on it and flashed away before appearing on the other side of the room and flying through the air again. He impacted the wall and dispelled. Naruto had a smile on his face a moment later. All clones, line up, he shouted. A second later the clones were in front of him, each holding a black Haraishin kunai with a black tag and gold sealing array around the handle. They disappeared instantly and reappeared around the room in black and white flashes. Naruto's smile grew. He had work to do. Go. Get to work on spreading them. Use the preservation seals and get started. I'm going to do what my father was too short-sighted to do. Once the other clones were gone, he created a single other one, using every ounce of chakra, nature energy and some of the kyubis included, that he had. He looked at the other version of himself as he had trouble breathing. Go. You know what to do. Don't forget the MRPs. I'll have the other one sent to join you. The moment I save up enough chakra to create him. Don't worry though. I'll be sending more soon enough. Now go. A moment later the clone was gone. Naruto put an MRP in his mouth and went to sit down. He needed a rest. He went over some memories of a few dispersed clones. Construction was almost complete. Break. Jiraiya was responding to a report of Naruto being sighted nearby, rushing through the trees in one of the many forested areas of Kase. He had been in Kase no Kuni with some of the members of his network when the report came in. The report had also said that he was alone and appeared to be worn out after being chased down by, and barely escaping, a group of Sunanin. Jiraiya was nearing the area when he suddenly stopped and dodged a large surge of electricity that tore through the tree he was just standing in. When the smoke settled, he looked up and saw Naruto standing there. I find it absolutely amazing how much damage the simple bending of information can do. Take your network for example. Make them see one thing while the truth is altogether different and it can do all sorts of damage. Naruto said, I'm going to offer you a choice, Jiraiya. He said, tossing the man a kunai. Surrender now and it will be over quick. Just your throat and I'll take that as a yes. Otherwise, I could destroy you quickly. But it's time to choose. Jiraiya looked at him like he was insane. He threw the kunai back at Naruto, who stepped aside to avoid it easily. Jiraiya launched off of his branch to attack him. Naruto avoided every punch Jiraiya threw before grabbing Jiraiya's fist and flipping him over his shoulder and throwing him into a tree. Jiraiya righted himself and landed upright on the side of the tree. Jiraiya made hand seals before firing a large fireball at Naruto. Naruto flew through his own hand signs. He opened his mouth and released a torrent of water. Steam filled the clearing. A moment later Naruto shot through the steam with his sword already drawn. Jiraiya pulled out a kunai to block the blade and parry it. Naruto slashed once more and Jiraiya parried it before using the opening to flip backwards to put room between them and get to the ground. He created two cage bunshin and had them charge Naruto the moment he dropped down to the ground. With Naruto busy, Jiraiya sat down and started focusing on gathering nature energy. Naruto saw what Jiraiya was doing and started focusing himself, having some difficulty fighting the clones and focusing on gathering the energy. After a few moments, Naruto destroyed the clones and saw Jiraiya standing up. He noted that Jiraiya was in his sage mode. Jiraiya rushed forward and used Naruto's partial focus on the fight to deliver a kick to his chest and send him into a tree. I expected some more from my old student Naruto, but this is where it ends. Jiraiya said while preparing a Rasengan. Jiraiya went to bury the ball of chakra into Naruto before Naruto reached up and caught his wrist. So you were worried about this fight being boring ? Naruto said, his eyes becoming gold with silted pupils. I'll spice it up for you then, he said before sending Jiraiya flying backwards through several trees. When he finally righted himself, he was able to quickly jump back to where he stood in front of Naruto. Let me tell you what I think would be really boring, Naruto said, scales growing up his arms and on his face. His face began to become more scaled and animalistic. If you weren't in your sage mode, he said as the back of his shirt started to bulge as scaled protrusions tore through his shirt to reveal large, scaled wings. A large, spiked tail grew from the base of his spine. So do me a favor and stay just the way you are. Naruto shot forward and slashed at Jiraiya with his clawed hands. The moment the man jumped backwards to avoid the claws, Naruto's tail moved forward and gripped the man's neck. Jiraiya was surprised as he was thrown off Naruto's shoulder and slammed into the ground. Naruto released his grip and turned around to look down at him. I expected more from my old teacher Jiraiya, Naruto said, preparing a Rasengan in his hand. His features started returning to normal. I need to open you up anyways, might as well start now. Break. Naruto was walking down one of the streets of Konoha, taking in the calm and quiet night. He wore a large black trench coat that hung down just above his ankles. Under the trench coat, he wore a set of black pants and shirt. His head was covered with a black cloth to keep his hair covered. His face was also covered by a black, featureless mask. As he walked, he thought about how foolish the people of Konoha were. In this village you could find information on just about anyone by asking a passerby. Tsunade had been training her apprentice, Sakura, for the past few years. He was even able to get so much detail as to the fact that Sakura had learned Tsunade's enhanced strength. Tsunade had also started training Choji. The man had wanted to train in her techniques to complement his multi-size technique. Sasuke had been training under Jiraiya, yet had been using his own summoning contract. He had even started working on the sage arts. Sasuke had also developed his Mangekyo Sharingan shortly after he found out about his execution. Not only had he developed the ability to use the eternal flames of Amaterasu, he had also developed the ability for the Susanoo. There were two people who seemed interesting among the others. Ino had been one of the few people to come over to Sasuke's way of thinking about him. She had eventually come to genuinely feel remorse for the betrayal. Then there was Lee. He had also stopped trying to decide what to believe and had come over to Sasuke's way of thinking, though he did differ in one specific way. Unlike Sasuke, who wanted to bring him back, he had talked to some about how he would not be against him coming back to get his revenge against this unyouthful village. It interested him. It also interested him how others had been brought to similar points of view, though they were exceedingly few. Other members of the village had gotten stronger, advanced, and learned and created new techniques. These people were unimportant to him, however, as he had only a few he was actually focused on. He walked by and could see a few things in the dark. He could see a thief down one alleyway, a murderer running down another, prostitutes in a few places. He knew that some of the thieves and murderers and such didn't choose such lives. He felt pity for those who had little other choice. Then there were all of the people who ran this place. The Hokage, the council, and all the pathetic fools behind the scenes. The corrupt, the untrustworthy, and the traitors. This place disgusted him. He knew that other villages had problems, that they had similar rats and dark people. However, Konoha was slowly rotting in its corruption. It tried to be perfect, but could not be nearly as well as other villages. Konoha was claimed as the greatest village. Such statements made him chuckle. Then he took a moment to marvel. Crimes and such were not just committed by Rouge Shinobi. They were committed by normal people as well. He chuckled at how few people seemed to take note of that, always caring about Shinobi. Then he thought about the very people of Konoha. This village is afraid of me. I have seen its true face. The streets are extended gutters and the gutters are full of blood, and when the drains finally scab over, all the vermin will drown. The accumulated filth of all their and murder and betrayal and corruption will foam up about their waists, and all the traitors and rats and whores and politicians will look up and shout, "Spare us," and all whisper, "No." He finally stood in front of his destination. It was a small storage facility close to the center of the village, and along a specific route. No one knew it, but he had bought the building under a henge and a different name. Sakura would often use this route when running any errands for Tsunade. And then he saw her. She was a distance away, but walking in his direction all the same. What better way to undermine the Hokage than to kill their apprentice? He knew that some people in the village would use anything to undermine her authority. Once this was done, some of his work would be done for him by others. Plus, it made things so much sweeter to do it this way. When she got closer, he activated some of the seals on his arms and completely disappeared as he backed into the shadows. After she passed his location, he wasted no time in knocking her unconscious and dragging her into the small building. Naruto brought her into the building and tied her arms up behind her before leaning her against a wall and putting a chakra suppressor on her before stepping back. He stood there and waited for her to wake up. Break. Once she had regained consciousness, she looked up at him and started struggling. He knelt down next to her before speaking. "Hello, Sakura. After all this time, you really have changed. Not who you really are, of course, but how you look. Not to mention you have gotten stronger. Not enough to bother me any, but stronger nonetheless." He sighed. "Who are you?" ? He chuckled. "I once promised you that I would make sure you paid your debt in full. Now I'm here to collect," he said, enjoying the realization on her face. "I also promised your teacher that I would force you and Ino to endure a horrendous torture like I would everyone else. But things changed. Ino has changed her attitude, so the thought of hurting her has lost its appeal somewhat. Then there's you. The thought of using my previously stated punishment for you has also lost all appeal. Would you like to know why, Sakura ? He quickly grabbed a fistful of her hair and pulled upward. He used his other hand to remove his mask. "Naruto, please, stop," Sakura begged, trying to struggle free. "Here is why, Sakura. It's because I wouldn't be there to watch the hope and light and life leave your eyes in that one instant when you finally realize just how hopeless your situation is. I want to see it all leave your eyes in that moment right before you die. But first, I want you to feel what I have felt," Naruto said as he placed a seal on her forehead. Everything went white for her before she saw figures starting to emerge and become more defined. She thought she recognized some of them. Memories flashed in front of her. Memories of those she loved, those she cared for, and those she trusted. The memories flashed by quickly before stopping. The figures could now be seen as her parents, Sasuke, Tsunade, and the rest of her class. They waved at her, asking her to come closer. She did, coming to enter her parents' embrace. Then another figure emerged. It was a young Naruto. He was smiling his goofy smile before his face cracked to reveal a more serious one, though this one still had a small smile on its face. She saw daggers in each person's hand. They stepped forward and stabbed their blades into her. She looked into their eyes, seeing hatred and loathing. She looked at Naruto, seeing his face crack again before the entire world she was seeing cracked and crumbed away. She could see the real Naruto sitting there. She could feel the pain of the daggers, the tears on her face, and the pain within her own mind at what had just happened. "Now do you understand, Sakura ? The pain of seeing your whole world crack and fall apart so that the dark reality of things comes into view ? In the world that you just saw there was so much light and so little dark. But now, the reality is the exact opposite. Now, I'm about to break nearly every bone in your body, and you're going to feel more pain than you could ever imagine. Alright ? And you're probably wondering why I'm telling you that. The reason is because of what you're doing now. Preparing your torture resistance training. That is what I want. I want you to see just worthless all of that training was. he said before standing up and walking to a crate that had a few objects on top of it, though she couldn't see what they were. He picked something up before walking back over to her. She could see that he was holding a crowbar. He knelt down and reached behind her to grab the rope she was bound with. He picked her up by it and tossed her into the middle of the floor. Before she could react, the crowbar came down. She could hear some bones snap. Wow, that looked like it really hurt, Naruto said before hitting her again. Whoa, now, hang on. That looked like it hurt a lot more. So, let's try and clear this up. Okay, what hurts more? A ? He hit her again. Or B ? Again. Forehand ? Again. Or backhand ? Again. Then Sakura mumbled something. Naruto leaned in, imitating the noise. A little louder. I think you may have a collapsed lung. That always impedes the oratory, he said before she spit blood and saliva in his face. Naruto grabbed her hair and slammed her face into the floor. Now, that was rude. At least your teacher has some manners. I suppose I'm going to have to teach you a lesson so you can better follow in her footsteps. There was a pause. Nah, I'm just going to keep beating you with this crowbar, he said before he hit her again. It went on for a few moments before he stopped and pulled her up by her hair so that he could speak in her ear. Tell me, are you familiar with the lingering death ? He said, seeing her tense as his confirmation that she had. Why don't we try that one next ? But I want you to do something for me. I don't want you losing your mind while we're doing this. So you're going to count backwards from 1000 by sevens. Naruto then let go of her hair and went over to the crate. When he came back, there was a small blade in his hand. He knelt next to her again before placing the blade on her forearm just below the elbow. Now, the lingering death, as you know, is where I slowly slice off your flesh, carefully so that you don't die instantly, or pass out, he said before quickly swiping the blade to take a sliver out of her arm. Her scream echoed through the warehouse. Now count. There was silence. Naruto moved lower and jammed the blade into her leg, twisting it when it hit bone. Her screams echoed again. I said count. She hesitated. Naruto jammed the blade in again. 993. Naruto turned her over so that he could see the tears flowing from her eyes. Very good. Now keep going, Naruto said as he quickly healed the injuries he had put into her legs. When she said nothing, he jammed the blade in again and started to heal it right away. 986. See Sakura ? It's not that bad. Come on, we are only just getting started, he said, going back up to her arms and taking another sliver out of her other arm. This time she was able to bite her lip to keep from screaming. Blood poured out of the wounds she had created with her own teeth. Your will has gotten stronger as well, Sakura, Naruto said. You know, I've been thinking that I could use this same torture routine on Tsunade, he said, enjoying the fear and hatred in her eyes. I'm going to tell you something I probably shouldn't. This isn't personal. He paused. Well, not completely. I want this entire village to lose hope. This is both because of you, and because of your Hokage. This is to destroy your hope, and eventually your teachers. He then pulled out a pair of pliers and gripped one of Sakura's fingernails. Don't cry, Sakura. We're only just getting started after all. Break. Lady Hokage, you have a letter. They told me it was important. Tsunade took the letter from her secretary before opening and reading it. She was then out the window. The secretary looked at the letter before clasping a hand over her mouth. Greetings, Lady Tsunade. I currently have Sakura at the below address. She has endured the lingering death longer than I expected. Let's see how long she lasts. Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. Break. Good news, Naruto said. Tsunade has been alerted to your location. She's on her way here. Sakura smiled as best she could. When she gets here, she's going to kill you, and I'm going to watch. Naruto saw the hope swell in her eyes. He took his dagger and stabbed it into her kneecap, listening to her screams. You still think this is personal, don't you ? Like I said before, this is to destroy your hope. I learned long ago that true despair does not exist without hope. It's why I'm here. It's why Konoha is still standing. I want them to suffer, as I did. I want them to believe, right up until the end, that surviving, stopping me, and standing on top at the end of this are all within their reach. Then, I want to show them the truth. I will destroy their hope and watch their worlds fall apart right before their eyes. Only then will they understand the true depths of misery. Only then will I end their lives. They not only have a right to know, they have an obligation to. He paused. Do you think I'm insane? Perhaps a small amount, but not enough to cause alarm for the time being. Oh, and how far did you get? FF 559. 552. She said, falling silent, unable to keep going. She needed a moment. It didn't surprise Naruto. She was only still alive because he had used what little medical jutsu he knew to keep her alive. Naruto stood up and walked to the door, leaving the blade in her leg. Okay, I got to go. It's been fun, though, right? Naruto asked. There was only silence as he looked back at the mostly skinned young woman who was missing some of her fingers while some of them were simply missing their nails. He could see some of the broken bones without any flesh on them while others could be noticed due to the bent forearms and such. There were also some parts that Naruto had cauterized with a torch. Well, maybe a smidge more fun for me than you. I'm just guessing since you're being awful quiet. Anyway, be a good girl, finish work, and be in bed by 9. And, hey, please tell Tsunade I said hello. Naruto said before laughing hysterically. Oh, and don't forget to keep counting. Then he was gone. 545, she said, stopping to inhale shakily. 538. Sakura stopped and tried to look around her and noticed two things. The first was the walls being covered in explosive tags, and the second was the Naruto clone watching her. It didn't move. It just stood there. She tried to move, but her entire body felt burned, though some of it was not far off. Then she heard the door bust open. She forced her body to move and look into the eyes of Tsunade. She could see the pain at her condition, yet the joy that she was still alive. Then Sakura saw the tags ignite. She finally realized just how hopeless it was. She looked the Naruto clone in the eyes. She could see the joy in his eyes as the light and hope faded from hers. She understood now. She could feel the hope that had risen in her when she knew that Tsunade was coming, and grew even further when her teacher had opened the door, shatter. Where hope once filled her, there was an empty feeling of nothingness and despair. She embraced her death now knowing that no force on earth could stop it. Tsunade saw the hope flee her apprentice's eyes before she noticed the explosive tags. She couldn't stop it as the tags went off and launched her back. Break. Naruto continued walking, his mask back on. After all that, you do realize that you're standing at a great precipice. Don't you? The voice said in his mind. Of course I do. But it had to be done. Naruto responded. Oh, no doubt about that, but if I were you I would expect breaking to be a much more probable outcome. Shut up already. I get it. Just don't interfere. We'll see what happens. Don't you see? You're nothing but a monster now. You're just like me. Silence. And so silence followed. He finally came to another building before jumping up over a wall and then through a window. He removed his mask as he looked at Lee. Lee had been suddenly woken when the figure jumped through his window, but when they removed the mask he was able to recognize them quickly. He was now standing in front of the intruder. Naruto? He asked in surprise. What are you doing here? That depends on you. What do you mean? I have an offer for you. I want you to join me. I want you to follow the orders I'm about to give you. Join my new home, and help me destroy Konoha. What do you want me to do? Naruto took a few minutes and told him. He nodded. Then there was an explosion in the distance. I have to go now. Remember what I told you. Naruto said before he was gone. Break. Sasuke was leaping over the rooftops towards the explosion. When he finally landed there he saw Tsunade holding what was left of Sakura's body. While it was slightly burnt, Sakura's face seemed to be the only thing that wasn't destroyed. Whoever did this wanted her to be recognized. Tsunade, what happened? Sasuke asked, also taking note that Tenten, Neji, Shikamaru, Choji, Ino, and Lee standing there. He also noticed several Junin and Anbu there as well. Naruto happened. Tsunade said. That he did. A new voice said. They turned to see Naruto. Naruto had hidden his mask as a scroll at his hip. I'm back, he said, spreading his arms outward. He quickly dodged an attack from Choji, who had practically destroyed the area Naruto was just at. I told you all, you have a debt to pay. I'm here to collect, Naruto said. Oh, and you want to know the best part? The seals that covered the building were coded to Tsunade. Had anyone else opened that door before you, Tsunade, the explosive tags would never have gone off. Isn't that irony right there? Sasuke looked at Sakura's body and then at Naruto. An ethereal rib cage formed around him with a single skeletal arm. Sasuke lunged at Naruto with it. Naruto dodged only for the arm to reach around and grab at him. Before it could make contact, a dark red shroud formed around him before condensing as Naruto went to the first stage of his level 2 state, 4 tails sprouting. 2 of the tails held back the arm. Interesting, right? Sasuke? The Susanoo was created by the first Uchiha to counter the power of the Beiyu, especially the Kyuubi that his brother, the first Senju, was the Jinchuriki of. And now, centuries later, the two opposing forces stand against each other again. Now let's see how much destruction the two of us can cause. Come on, Naruto shouted in a slightly distorted voice. Naruto, is that what you think this is? Some sort of game? Of course not, but that doesn't mean I'm not interested. Sasuke screamed before a second arm formed and some of the flesh-like tendrils formed around the rib cage and joints. Naruto jumped away as the second arm came down to crush him. His tails extended to grab both arms. He launched himself at Sasuke as a purplish Rasengan formed in his hand, his tails extending to allow more movement. As it was about to hit the Susanoo, more of the tendrils wrapped around it to send it to a state where the full-bodied mode was starting to form. Naruto struck one of the covered areas, though it still cracked. Sasuke forced both of the arms to throw Naruto into a building. He quickly re-emerged before fifth tail formed along with small, red, bone-like protrusions grew along his arms and spine. Naruto rushed forward, 4 of his tails going ahead of him and pulling back the arms of Sasuke's Susanoo. He was instantly in front of Sasuke, had his claws dug into the ethereal coating and started peeling it back. Once a large enough hole was created, the struggling Uchiha was forced to jump out of the back of the construct to escape the fifth tail that shot forward and dug into the spot he had just been. Naruto started expanding his fifth tail and pulling apart with the others. The Susanoo was ripped apart before dissipating, only to reform around Sasuke seconds later. Come on Sasuke, let's put down the toys and go into the big leagues, Naruto said before the red shroud disappeared. His eyes then had an orange shading appear around his eyes while his pupils formed into those of a toad. You want to fight with the Sage modes? Naruto? Fine. I didn't like using the same contract as Itachi, but they were the clan that reverse summoned me. Sasuke said. The Susanoo disappeared as Sasuke's hands turned into talons with black feathers. Some of the feathers formed around his face before his shirt was ripped open to allow 2 crow-like wings to free themselves. The crows? Sasuke? A good clan, but mine is stronger. Naruto said before his eyes returned to normal as he backed out of the Toad Sage mode and started changing the flow of the nature energy. Within seconds large, dark gray scales started forming all over his body. His hands turned into vicious claws. His eyes became gold with black S as his jaw elongated to give him what could resemble a very short, slightly reptilian snout. He quickly removed his shirt so that the 2 dragon-like wings on his back wouldn't rip his cloths. 4 scaled horns, connected by ridges, grew on his head, 2 on each side. A large, spiked tail grew from the base of his spine. My second Sage mode has not yet been perfected, but neither has your first. I will admit that yours is under more control than mine, but you have no idea how difficult it is to control a second Sage mode from a completely different clan than the one you first learn with. How? Where did you learn from a second clan, and how did you learn from the toads in the first place? Sasuke asked. Both are secrets for the time being. All in due time. Sasuke. Naruto yelled before charging. Just before Naruto hit him, Sasuke jumped into the air to avoid the hit. Naruto used the wings on his back to go after him. Sasuke quickly used his own wings to continue ascending in order to try and escape. However, Naruto was faster and quickly caught up to him. A moment later, Naruto had Sasuke by the throat and was forcing them both down. Naruto used his rougher wings to attack Sasuke's own. Just as they were about to hit the ground, Sasuke managed to disengage himself and break away. As he was able to lift himself back up, Naruto opened his own wings and stopped himself just short of the ground. He quickly used his wings to launch at Sasuke again. Naruto slashed at Sasuke with his claws. Sasuke grabbed Naruto's wrist and flipped him over his shoulder. Naruto used his wings to stop his downward motion and twist from Sasuke's grip. Naruto turned over and punched Sasuke in his stomach. Sasuke flinched slightly but quickly retreated. Sasuke grabbed his wrist and powered up a larger than normal Raikiri. Naruto held up his hand as a Rasengan built up in his hand before altering itself to form a small shuriken around it. We've both powered up these two techniques against one another again. Remember how much destruction we caused last time? Now they're even stronger than before. Are you sure you want to use that, Sasuke? Naruto asked. Sasuke thought a moment and looked around. There were still civilians running from the damage they were causing. Sasuke looked down as the Raikiri faded. Naruto smirked as he allowed his Rasengan to fade away. Naruto then allowed a red shroud to flow over him before launching at Sasuke. He once again grabbed Sasuke as they ascended and shot higher and higher into the air. Sasuke, you need to join me. I'm about to start a war you don't want to be against me in. Don't make this any harder. Naruto shouted over the wind rushing past them. Stop this, Naruto. You need to stop this. Sasuke responded. Naruto instantly went into his four-tailed state. The state was now altered due to his Sage mode. It had deformed wings, and his facial features and horns started becoming more like fox features than those of a dragon. You think so, Sasuke? You are so self-righteous. Do you think you're alive because you can fight? You are only alive because of what I did to save you. The same goes for this entire village. He used his tails to hold Sasuke's wings in while using his own to force them towards the ground. They were now over the forest just outside of the walls. Haku would have killed you if I hadn't made a deal with him. Orochimaru would have made you a puppet if I hadn't stopped you from leaving. You would still have that curse mark if hadn't destroyed it. This village would have been destroyed if I hadn't stopped Gaara. You are all still alive because of me. I understand that your intentions are good. I know you mean well. The problem is that you want to protect this world, but you don't want it to change. There's only one true path to peace. And that is to change this world at its very core. Naruto shouted as the ground came up to them. Right before they hit the forest, Naruto broke away and sent Sasuke hurtling toward the ground. Sasuke tried to stop himself, but his wings couldn't open fast enough. The impact was lessened by some of the trees he hit on the way down. Naruto landed next to him before he was forced back by Sasuke's Susanoo. Sasuke forced himself up as his Susanoo went into the full-bodied form before a large cloak came over it to form into its four-armed, armored form. Naruto noticed the black ball of fire in one of its hands. He also noticed that it seemed to be slightly enhanced by the Sage mode Sasuke was still using. Naruto's tails went forward and each wrapped around an arm. The arms gave a small tug, instantly ripping free. Naruto, stop this. We don't need to keep fighting. Sasuke shouted, blocking when the four tails twisted together and tried to impact into the Susanoo's chest. Naruto forced himself backwards with his wings as one of the fists came down where he once was and was instantly hidden behind some of the trees. When he reappeared, Sasuke had him with one of his Susanoo's hands. Instantly Naruto's form returned to normal. You got me, Sasuke. Now what? Naruto asked. Now I take you in, Naruto. Now this ends. Sasuke said before his Susanoo went to its lowest form of a rib cage and one arm to carry Naruto. You think so, Sasuke? Naruto thought to himself. Sasuke eventually was able to limp back to Konoha and found them all waiting for him. Choji looked at Naruto and stepped forward. Tsunade held out an arm to stop him. Why are you stopping me, Tsunade? He should die for what he's done. Choji yelled at her. I know, but Sasuke here has other plans for him. Don't you, Sasuke? She replied, anger soaking her voice. Break. So tell me, Naruto, when and how you learned the Sage mode for the toads. I could ask the same about the dragons, or how you have been learning to control the Kyuubi's chakra. Tsunade said. They were currently in an interrogation room, sitting across from one another at a metal table. It was now early in the morning. They had decided to wait to question him until they had gotten some rest. I will only answer one question at a time, Tsunade. Pick one and try again. Naruto said. Fine, she said, trying to remain calm. How have you learned to control the QB question mark? Actually, I haven't. Not entirely at least. I only recently was able to unlock the 4th and 5th tails of the version 2 state. Kurama might not realize it, but he has become a lot more cooperative over the years. Who question mark? Ah, yes, that's right. You don't know. The QB's real name is Kurama. They don't have names, Naruto. They're only monsters. Like you. Naruto sighed. I will no longer answer any questions from you anymore. That's fine, Naruto. There is someone else who wants to talk with you. Tsunade said before standing up and leaving the room. A moment later, Sasuke walked into the room. Hello, Naruto. Are you ready to talk rather than fight? Sasuke asked. Naruto leaned forward. Let's not forget that you attacked me. Only after you skinned Sakura alive. But I didn't attack you. And, I didn't skin her. I cut the flesh from her bones. Naruto said. Shut up. Sasuke screamed. There was a long pause before he sighed. Naruto, where have you been all this time? I won't answer any more questions while we have prying eyes. Naruto said, looking at the mirror on the wall and at the corners. Naruto could see Sasuke give a signal before there was the sound of doors opening and closing and some shinobi materialized and left the room. Then Naruto looked at another corner. You can gather all of this information when Sasuke reports to Tsunade. Now leave and tell Danzo that his root lap dogs are getting sloppy. Naruto said with a grin before another shinobi appeared from a genjutsu he was hidden behind and shunshined away. I don't even want to know what that was about. Sasuke said. Now answer my question. No. Sasuke exploded. Then why did you have me send him away? Naruto stayed silent. Sasuke stood up and slammed his hand on the table. Answer me. Silence. Whatever it is you believe you're doing, I'm telling you that it's wrong. Sasuke said. Is that true? Naruto said, looking up at him with an amused look. It is true. You're trying to play with people's lives. Look where it's gotten you. Let me ask you this, where does this knowledge of yours come from? This ability to know right from wrong? Naruto said, watching as his friend flinched at the question. There is no inherent good or evil in the world. Those labels are just artificial constructs. Right and wrong are determined by the people who hold positions of authority. That's the way it's always been, so how then can anyone know this truth you speak of? Don't you see? The reality is that the truth long ago became nothing more than a shadow of itself. It's a mere echo of the past now. You're wrong. The world is one big moral, gray area. It just makes you feel safer to believe that it can be carefully categorized into good and bad. That's not the way it actually works. You're wrong. Why are you so persistent about this, Sasuke? Why are you still refusing to answer any of my questions? What are you so persistent to keep hidden? Sasuke said. Naruto didn't respond. Sasuke turned around and walked to the door. As he was about to open it, Naruto's voice changed. Foolish little brother. Sasuke stopped. He turned around and looked at his brother sitting in the chair. How? Naruto provided me with a seal that kept your suppression seals from affecting me. When Naruto ducked behind the trees he switched with me. When I came out from behind the trees I was already under a transformation jutsu so that I could get here. Itachi said. Now sit down, Sasuke. I need to tell you why I killed our clan. Break. Hinata and Shino walked down the streets of Konoha. They had black cloaks to cover any discernible features. They came to a point where they split up and continued walking. Neither said a word. Hinata kept walking until she came to a wall of her clan compound. She was over it in a moment. She was quick to rush through the compound until she found her father. He was shocked to see a cloaked figure running at him. He quickly raised his arms to block a kick to his head. Hinata jumped back before activating her Byakugan and rushing forward again and trying to jab at one of Hyashi's chakra points in his shoulder. He activated his Byakugan and quickly dodged it. He was able to see that his opponent was a woman, and that she had the Byakugan. Hinata went after another set of points, using chakra to increase her speed. She continued to miss before leaping back to compose herself. She took a stance that Hiashi knew all too well. You are within my range, Hinata said before launching forward. She noticed that only a portion of her attacks were actually landing. When the 64 palms were done, only 12 of them landed. She had grown much better with the technique, but Hiashi had trained in it all his life. However, Hiashi had still lost the use of his left arm, and his left leg had slowed down slightly. Hinata composed herself again before readying her fists. A moment later, two lion-like shrouds formed around them. She charged forward at such a rate that Hiashi had no chance to dodge. The attack landed right in the middle of his stomach. He was launched back into a wall. Several other Hyuga surrounded her. Hinata noted that Hanabi was among them. Before they could move, she removed the cloak to reveal her face. I am Hinata Hyuga, and I'm here to assume the position as head of this clan. Where is Neji? I'm here, Neji said as he walked out of the crowd. He didn't bow or kneel. Phase 4 has started. Get everyone else ready. Break. Shino walked through his clan compound, his insects communicating with those of his clan that he was an ally. He found his own parents within seconds. As soon as he found them, he removed his cloak and looked at them. Shino? Shibi asked. Yes. As much as I would like to catch up, I need to tell you something important. I'm here to take leadership of the clan. There was silence. Then it will be yours, Shibi said. We will have a gathering of the clan to commemorate your return. Shino gave a small bow to his father. We have much to discuss. Break. No, that can't be true, Sasuke shouted. It is Sasuke. Now you need to accept it, Itachi said. No, if it was true that you should have trusted me, you should have told me the truth so that you could stay in the leaf and protect it. And if you went through so much to protect Konoha, then why have you turned against it? Because it has become a husk of what it once was. It has become corrupt. I'm going to help Naruto rebuild it once it's been wiped clean. So that's the plan? Destroy Konoha and rebuild it as you see fit? No, as it deserves to be, regardless of who's overseeing it. However, the fact that you think this is still just about Konoha shows just how short-sighted you have become. So then what is it about, Itachi? Itachi looked up at him. It's about everything. Sasuke had had enough and stood up before leaving. Most of him refused to believe that Naruto and Itachi were right. He refused to let his reality be shattered. When he left the room, he realized that everyone was gone. He shunshin to the Hokage Tower before walking towards Tsunade's office. With Sasuke gone, Naruto materialized. Things are moving along. Let's go, Naruto said before he and Itachi disappeared. When Sasuke got to Tsunade's office, he found chaos. Tsunade was walking out of her office while people inside were shouting orders. Tsunade, he said, trying to get her attention. She held up her hand to stop him from speaking. Not now, Sasuke. Whatever it is can wait until after we settle current problems. What are you talking about? Sasuke asked. Hinata and Shino just walked into Konoha and seized control of their clans. We haven't received any more information than that right now. That's why I'm going down to the Hyuga clan compound now, Tsunade said, walking out of the Hokage Tower with Sasuke behind her. Tsunade, what I have to tell you is important, Sasuke insisted. What is it? She said, stopping to face him. Naruto was the one I was fighting, but Itachi was under a henge. That's who we were questioning. How is that possible? With the suppression. Naruto gave him a seal that could somehow negate them. And it gets worse. Itachi killed our clan because they were planning a coup. He was under orders from the Sandaime and the elders to eliminate them after he revealed the plan to them. He refused to kill me and became a missing nin to protect that secret. And now he's with Naruto. This was the plan from the very beginning. All of this is happening too quickly for it to be coincidence. This is part of a plan that Naruto is no doubt behind. We need to get answers as quickly as possible. Shit, was all she said, refusing to even try to describe it more. Let's settle this with Hinata and Shino first. Then we can settle things with Itachi. Moments later, they were standing at the gate of the Hyuga compound that was now surrounded by Anbu. Tsunade moved closer and tried to open the door on the gate that was meant for letting people in without opening the entire gate. When she went to open it, the door opened and a Hyuga clan member was standing there. They could tell by their uncovered forehead that they were a main family member. Lady Hinata has instructed that Tsunade Senju and Sasuke Uchiha are to be brought into the compound and no one else. The Hyuga said. Tsunade nodded. Everyone else, stay back. We'll go in alone. If we aren't out in an hour, you have orders to destroy the compound and anyone who resists. They quickly entered the door before it was closed. They were then led to a room where Hinata was sitting down on the floor, her father and sister next to her. She was now wearing a white kimono. They then noticed that Shino, his parents, and 2 Aburame clan members were there as well. Sit, Tsunade. We some things to discuss. Shino, why don't you sit down and join us as well? Tsunade and Sasuke both sat down as the Aburame members moved closer and did the same. So where have you two been? Sasuke asked. We assumed you had been kidnapped by some other village in the chaos when Naruto escaped. We assumed you were both dead already. We figured you would have. Shino said. The truth is that we left of our own volition. Now we needed you in here for one specific reason. What would that be? Tsunade asked. We need you to discharge all of our clan members, from both clans, from your shinobi roster. We don't want them declared as missing nin when we leave. Shino said. Are you insane? Tsunade yelled, standing up. She was forced back down to her knees by 2 Hyuga clan members. We aren't asking permission, Hinata said before things could get out of hand. We are taking our clans with us whether you like it or not. We simply want to make things easier. And don't think you can threaten us. You would lose more than you would gain if you were to try and stop us. That especially counts considering that you wouldn't gain anything. They were silent. All right, Tsunade said, sounding defeated. There was a pause. Where have you been all this time? Hinata ? I guess that's where you're going to be taking them. Sasuke asked. Hinata nodded. Azuchiogakure is my new home. Shino nodded in response. What did you just say? That's not possible. Tsunade said. And neither is a mobile fortress that takes an offensive against Orochimaru. Shino said. Sasuke had a shocked look on his face. That means you've been with Naruto this whole time. I was right. He's behind all of this. But what about the Akatsuki cloak he was wearing? It wasn't an Akatsuki cloak. It was one that showed his position as the Azukage. You only saw part of it. The other part had the words Shodaime Azukage on it. Azu doesn't have a cage, even back in its prime. Tsunade said. Azu has grown far more powerful than it was before. Shino said. With Naruto as the leader we have had several advancements. Azu is now more worthy of a cage than any of the 5 great villages are right now. So then what? What happens next? Tsunade asked. We are taking our clans to Azu. Hinata said. Any who want to stay have been given the offer, however, none have accepted the offer. The Hyuga have refused because clan pride refuses to let them leave the clan, though most did choose to go with the clan of their own free will. And none of the Aburame disagree with our plans. I can't let you go. I can't let you go to wherever Naruto is. He's our enemy right now. Tsunade said. We have to. Sasuke said. My objective was originally to bring Naruto back, but I can see now that nothing I can do can accomplish that like I had hoped. It won't be as simple as simply convincing him. He won't come back. And if he had the resources to bring down the legendary barrier of Azu no Kuni, then he is much stronger than we thought. Not to mention that fortress on its own would be enough to lay siege to Konoha. Our only option right now is to try and make peace between our villages and hope we don't have a war. The fact that he's our enemy right now is exactly why we have to let them go. Hinata nodded. Naruto has recently decided that he will soon give Konoha an offer that will decide how history plays out. I hope everything will become clear in the course of the next few months, but for now we need to prepare our clans to leave. Get them out of here. Wait, Sasuke said as he was pulled to his feet. I want to go with you. Not as a defector, but as a guest of Azu. Of course you can, Shino said. In fact, Naruto anticipated such a request and has set things up in case of such an event. He has also ordered that we try and convince you in the event that you didn't ask. Why? Sasuke asked. Because he has some things he wants to talk to you about. Shino said. The Hyuga members were about to continue leading him out when Hinata raised her hand to stop them. She pulled out a scroll and unraveled it. Naruto also has a gift for you, Tsunade, she said as she channeled chakra into the seal of the scroll. A moment later and Jiraiya was laying there. He was bloody, but breathing. Tsunade was by his side in a moment, scanning for injuries. He's already been healed. Naruto saw to that, but he won't be doing much for a while. Shino said. Tsunade. Jiraiya groaned out as he regained consciousness. The toads betrayed me. They attacked me the moment Naruto gave the word. Yes, they have been with him this whole time. Shino said. Why do this ? Tsunade asked. This is what it has always been for Tsunade. You won't understand until later, but this has always been about your hope. This is why he's giving Jiraiya back to you. It's why he's giving you this chance to survive. Now take your wounded. Sasuke, go pack what you want to take with you. We're leaving soon. Hinata said. You're not going anywhere, Tsunade said, looking up at her. I should kill you now. If you threaten me again, I will give the word for our clans to attack the village. You won't get the chance to put up a fight before you've already lost a considerable portion of your shinobi and village. Hinata said. Now get out of here. Break. It had been a few days and Hinata and Shino were walking down the streets of Konoha towards the main gate. Their individual clans were following them while Tsunade and Sasuke walking up front with them. Crowds of villagers lined the sides of the streets as they watched the two clans leaving. Sasuke and Tsunade had been infuriated to learn that Itachi was gone. However, they had been forced to move on as new issues arose. To prepare for things with Naruto, Tsunade had decided to call a summit between the Kage and try to create some allies within the other villages. She had wanted to be the one to call the meeting so that she had an opportunity to put her village forward in taking the initiative. That plan had been ruined when Tsunade found a scroll on her desk detailing a summit being called by the Kazekage, with the Reikage and Tsuchikage agreeing. They neared the gate before stopping. In front of the gate stood Danzo, hundreds of Anbu and Root agents surrounding him. Danzo had used the last few days to organize all he could to overthrow Tsunade. It also helped that most of the council had been on his side when they heard that Sasuke would be going as well. He had used Tsunade's recent failure with Sakura, her allowing the two CLNS to leave, and her allowing Sasuke to go as well to convince most everyone to back him as he seized control. The fact that they were leaving to join Naruto did not help the situation. As of now, he was Hokage. What's going on here, Danzo ? Tsunade asked. Your foolishness has gone on long enough. I will not allow the Byakugan and the secrets of the Aburame clan to leave this village. As of now you are no longer the Hokage. Restrain them, Danzo said. Before anyone could move there was a large flash of black and white light. Everyone in the crowd, not counting Tsunade, had a bunch of Naruto laying a hand on their shoulder. The most remarkable thing about them was that their free hands held a black, three-pronged kunai. It was different, but its purpose and origin was obvious. They were markers for the Hiraishin. Danzo Shimura, the Naruto at the front, his hand on Hinata's shoulder, said. I will not allow you to get in the way of my plans, especially not with you being such a key part of theme. Now stay out of my way or I will break you now. Danzo's eye was wide as he gave a signal as quickly as he could. His Anbu and Root quickly tried to get to them and stop them. They were too late. There was a bright flash of black and white as they disappeared. When they could see again, there was a single clone standing next to Tsunade. Danzo, you wanted to be Hokage so much that you have put yourself in a very precarious spot. Naruto said, all the trouble you've gone through will be wasted if you fail. Watch your back, he said before dispersing. Break. Sasuke was looking out of the window to Naruto's office. He was amazed to see what Naruto had built in only 3.5 years. When they had arrived, the Hyuga and Aburame clans had been directed to the compounds that had been prepared for their arrival. A woman that Sasuke recognized as Tayuya had come up to him and greeted him, though she had not acted with familiarity. She had led him to Naruto's office and told him to wait. He had tried to ask her a question, but she had simply called him a crude name and left. After waiting a short while the door opened. Sasuke turned around, expecting to see Naruto. He was disappointed to see a man wearing a mask and holding a stack of papers. The man placed the papers on Naruto's desk and left. A few minutes later and Naruto finally walked in. Sasuke was turned around instantly. He was shocked when Naruto put an arm around his shoulder and had a smile on his face. Naruto was acting as if the events of his intrusion into Konoha had not happened. Sasuke noticed the differences in Naruto's cloak that he had been told about. Sasuke, it's great to see you again. It has been quite a long time, my friend. How are things? Come on, let me show you around while we talk. Naruto said. Sasuke lifted Naruto's arm up and stepped away from him. Why are you acting as if none of what happened these past few days actually happened? You killed Sakura, put Jiraiya in the hospital, and then you had Itachi in your place to tell me about my clan. What is going on? Sasuke asked. Naruto's face became more serious. You should come with me. I have something to show you, he said before walking out of his office. He created a clone to handle the paperwork on his desk before having Sasuke follow him. As they walked, Naruto decided to break the silence that surrounded them. Would you like to know the reason I haven't destroyed Konoha yet? One have told people that I wanted to destroy the village's hope, but I could do that just by unleashing the Kyuubi. So, take a guess. You can't control the Kyuubi. It would kill you. Naruto turned to face him, though he was still walking. That is where you're wrong. While examining the seal, I discovered something. My father, Minato Namikaze, infused a sizable portion of his and my mother's chakra so that they could appear to me later on when I need help with the Kyuubi, though you should know that his real name is Kurama. Then why? Naruto smiled. Originally, the plan was to build my personal strength, as well as Hinata's and Shino's. The plan was to return and destroy Konoha with the people I could gather. But then, everything changed. I wanted to rip Konoha apart at the seams as soon as possible, and a part of me still does. But, I have come to the realization that, while I did want to rebuild Azu and raise it higher than it was before, that this place had become a part of me. I want this place to grow into something so much more than I had originally thought. I want this entire village to become something more, he said before chuckling. Originally, this village was just supposed to be a new home for me. Now, it is the embodiment of everything I have ever dreamed. It is a home for me, and a beacon of hope and light for others, no matter how lost in shadow they are. The Akatsuki are an example. I took their leader, who was so lost in his own darkness that he thought what he was doing was for a better world, and brought him to the light. I did the same with most of the missing nin that were a part of the group. I would never have been able to do that without Azu. I'm going to lead this village through a change in the world as I wipe out the corruption and such from this reality. What's going on? Naruto? Sasuke asked. What is the point in all of this? He asked, not understanding what Naruto was getting at with all of this. You want your answer sooner rather than later? Naruto asked. He put his hand on Sasuke's shoulder and they disappeared. They quickly reappeared in a large, dimly lit room. There were monitors all along the walls and light emanating from large tanks of semi-clear, blue fluid. Some of them had people in simple, white clothing with breathers on their faces. The breathers had small tubes feeding into them to provide oxygen. Naruto started walking down the long room, Sasuke following along. These are called Bacta tanks, also known as a rejuvenation tanks or rejuve tanks. They are large, specialized tanks that are filled with a powerful healing agent secreted by the Vratics, a massive species of insect that use this substance for just about everything, making it rather easy to acquire if you know how. This substance is called Bacta, which promotes rapid healing that could even give the Jinchuriki a run for their Ryo. It can truly come in handy if any injuries inhibit any of our shinobi from being active, or if their injuries are beyond medical ninjutsu. While medical ninjutsu has limitations, such as regrowing entire limbs, while using artificial elements, can coerce the human body into regrowing its flesh. When someone loses an arm or such, we use false bones made out of metal using similar mechanics as a puppet to give their regrowing limbs a framework. To be honest, if we took enough time, we could almost replace someone's entire skeleton with metal. However, it would be exceedingly painful and time-consuming. Needless to say, no one had had it done yet, let alone volunteered for such a procedure. Now allow me to show you why this is important, Naruto said. He stopped and gestured to a specific tank. Sasuke looked at it and nearly had a heart attack. How? This isn't possible. The body was buried. I saw it myself. Things are never as they seem, Sasuke. Deception is a ninja's art form, Sasuke. There were several times that she passed out from the pain. I used the last time she did to use a technique to force her into using the Kage Bunshin Jutsu with my chakra, and used seals to force her conscious mind into the clone's body so that she could still experience everything. You have no idea how much time and energy was wasted on keeping the body sustained after I blew it up and ended its life. Naruto said, looking at Sakura floating in the tube. Her body was still missing patches of muscle, and most of her body was still missing layers of skin. You bastard, Sasuke said. Naruto rounded on him. Nothing can be gained if you aren't willing to lose something. Sometimes, one must discard humanity and become a monster. You can't change anything unless you can discard part of yourself too. To endure becoming a monster and then come back, you must be willing to temporarily abandon your humanity. Do you think that if I hadn't she would still be alive? ? Exclamation mark. You think I'm a monster? ? Had I preserved my own humanity and sent anyone else to do it, she would have been tortured to the same extent if not worse, and still be dead. You know, there was a time they, Konoha, cared nothing for her, when their only experience of humanity was all will be my blade coming down at them. But that was quite some time ago. Now they care who she is because she trained under Tsunade. Let's get back to now. When I plucked her from Konoha, I acted in the face of objections that she was a mere child and of no practical use to anyone. Naruto practically shouted. He sighed before his voice calmed. I have learned to ignore such naysayers when quelling them was out of the question. Still, I am not one to squander my investments, and I remain confident she was worth far more than the initial appraisal. That's why I must now extract from you some small repayment owed for hers and your own survival. He said calmly. What are you talking about? ? Before he could react, Naruto planted his palm on Sasuke's chest. Chains and seals shot out from his palm and retrained Sasuke, while at the same time feeding a sedative into Sasuke's system. When you wake up, you will have another gift, Sasuke. I would, of course, like to think that knowing Sakura was alive was a gift. He paused. Sleep soundly, Sasuke. When Sasuke was unconscious, Itachi stepped from the shadows to pick Sasuke up. You do know that even if we do this and it works, that disease is still killing me. Even the Bacta tanks can't cure it. You know that. I know, Itachi. I'm working on it. Sakura has been studying under Tsunade on fighting, as well as actual medical applications to her training. Hopefully, we can use that to our advantage. Has Sasori prepared the memory concealing manipulative sand technique yet? ? Yes. Are you sure that this is the best idea? ? Yes. Get our people ready to move. We leave for Iron in 96 hours. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.